Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Remember Me Daily Readings for Lent. And we are here on the eve of Palm Sunday. Everybody, get yourself to a into a holy mood and ready to focus on the final days of Lent. We're here, the final week. It's been for some, it's been a little easy. Others, it's been difficult. Hopefully, you guys have been keeping up with your personal devotions, and if you guys have made it this far, being doing your devotions, I just want to say that I'm proud of you. Good job. Keep it going. And if you haven't, hey, listen, it's Holy Week, last week. Let's try to get this stuff done. Let's jump on there. If you haven't done it, if you forgot or whatever, hey, you know what? We still got a week left. Let's make the best of our week that we can. But without further ado, let me start reading what we have here. Saturday after the fifth Sunday in Lent. When, as often happens in life, you see deeds done, words become law in defiance of right, do not be scandalized nor doubt the power of God's sovereign will. Full consideration for our liberty he permits revolts because he wills only to receive genuine obedience. But all the time that prospective right is reserved and will receive full recognition when the time of justice has come. Then will Jesus hold his court of assize. The insurgents summoned before him will realize from the weight of his sentence that not for a moment did he cease to be their ruler. Bent beneath the burden of his judgment, they will say a despairing farewell to the kingdom of his glory and retreat to the realm of woe. Alas, for these eternal exiles for whom there is no reprieve. But Christian souls, convinced with the sovereign rights of their Lord, recognize both the sweetness and the honor of obeying Him. The grievous spectacle of agitation that alike dishonors and disintegrates society when human will claims to rule without any superior law to direct or restrain it shows them clearly how necessary is Christ's government to the existence of order and peace. It is for that object I implore you to work by prayer, by words, by example, by influence. You may not see the triumph on earth of your divine monarch, but it is certain you will see and enjoy in heaven the kingdom of his glory. This is by Père Monsabré, and then to end by Saint Teresa. It is important that we should help each other by prayers. So the first part I actually do want to go over and talk about it with you guys about God's rule over the earth. And we have to realize that God permits these things to happen. That doesn't mean that God's not just. Just because you weren't born a millionaire doesn't mean that God hates you. Just because you weren't born with certain looks doesn't mean that God hates you. Just because God allows the evil to triumph doesn't mean that God is not there. Everyone who does evil deeds will pay for it, and people people say that that's not true, but when you put it in pagan terms, everybody, right? Every spiritual person believes in karma. And that's just another way to hide the fact that we will pay for the injustices that we've done in this world. God will make everyone pay their due. That's why you shouldn't have to worry. Don't really worry about injustices that you can't do anything about. I know things are popular. It's a popular thing to outrage about the things going on with Epstein. Maybe this will date the video, but if you're watching this in the future, people are outraging about Epstein. People, don't know what's going on, and they feel like there is no justice system. And who do we look to? Well, if we don't justify these things, if we don't, and I mean justify, like if we don't bring justice to evildoers, God will do it not only to the evildoers, but to the people who refuse to. So remember that. Everybody who, even if they didn't do it themselves, because not everybody, Not everybody went to that island. Not everybody is involved in that kind of sin, but they make themselves involved when they defend these people, or when they refuse to enact justice against them. And make no mistake, when the time comes and their final judgment, God will make them pay for their wicked deeds. And that's what we have to look forward to. We have to worry about ourselves. We have to worry about ourselves. And that's ultimately I'm calling it, I guess, the Catholic pill. That's ultimately the Catholic pill. We have to ultimately worry about ourselves, uh, worry about our neighbors, put God first, of course, right? God is first and foremost. Then we put our obligations, and ultimately it's ourselves, right? At the last, it's ourselves. And if there's something that we can do, if there's justice that we can enact ourselves within our power, and it doesn't violate any laws, because I'm not telling you guys to be revolutionaries or be vigilantes or anything like that, but if it's something within your power to do, please do. You have a moral obligation to do so. Other than that, like if you're a regular person pissed off about the Epstein things, there really isn't anything that you can do, unfortunately. I wish things were different, but there's nothing that you can do. All you can do is pray to God for the judgment to befall upon these people. That's the only thing that we can do. Non-Catholics will call it a cope, but it's like, other than a violent revolution, something that I don't think it leads to ultimately better things. Maybe in this case it might, but usually violent revolutions don't lead to amelioration of things. So I'm not for that. So it's like, yeah, like, what do we do when there's injustice? What do we do when somebody gets away? What do we do in a situation where somebody commits a crime, even commits a crime like murder, and they get away with it? All we can do is pray for God's justice. That's all that we can do, and that's the thing here, especially what we're going through. God permits these things to happen, but that doesn't mean that he's absent, and that doesn't mean that these people are not going to face the consequences of their actions. Because remember, the soul is immortal. The body might be mortal, the soul is immortal. And history history is replete with people who have gone away with doing injustices in the world and have faced their just punishments at the end of time. There are people in hell right now who spent their entire life getting away with everything, and they are suffering in hell, and that will happen to you if you think you can get away from that. That's something that we have to understand too. Nobody is going to escape God's justice. Maybe man's justice, because we are flawed and we can fall easily, but God's justice, you're not going to be able to escape. You're not going to be able to lie. And I guess this goes to, people who do moral crimes, not things that are, like fornication, like breaking apart families and doing stuff like that. That's something that we want to highlight too, is you're not going to be able to escape the moral injustices that you've done. Maybe lawfully and nothing can be done. Maybe you're getting away with it right now, and maybe you're enjoying the fruits of a degenerate lifestyle, but that stuff is not free. Doing that is not free. Escaping the consequences is not free. Escaping your responsibilities, also not free. And if you think it is, if you think that you'll be able to get away with it and fall to your knees in God's final judgment, in your personal judgment when you die, that's not how things work, unfortunately. And I wouldn't want to take the chance of doing that. So try your best to not do that. Try your best to not insult God. Try your best to not live a degenerate lifestyle. Try your best to not live for the world, because if you do that, you will face consequences, and these consequences are pretty bad. So uh just focus on that, and you know focus on it. Lent's a good time to be focusing on these kinds of things. I know Lent's almost over. and we'll be off. We'll be off of our devotions or our restrictions that we put on ourselves, and it's gonna be easy to forget these things. But never forget these things. Never forget these things, and remember, right? If you practice the Friday abstinence and fast, Lent every week. But anyway, hope you guys are praying for me. I'm gonna be praying for you guys, and until the next episode, take care and God bless.